smokes, Los Angeles is on fire. And I mean big time. Now, California is not new to wildfires. They are used to having them. But these particular wildfires that are happening in California right now in the Los Angeles area, they are calling this unprecedented. They are saying that these fires are worse than fires that they've had before. First and foremost, before we get into this, I do want to tell you, if you have friends or family that you know that live in the LA area, please reach out to them to make sure they're okay. I actually reached out to a couple of people that I know that live in the LA area. Luckily, they are all fine, but they have told me that things are not good. And there are a number of videos that I have seen. People are being evacuated left and right. It has made its way into the city as well. There was a video that I saw that was not too far from Capitol Records. So these fires have been moving pretty rapidly. So typically I would wait to cover, stories during a live stream, but this particular story I wanted to go ahead and cover separately and upload this as a video because there's so much to unpack here, and I do want to make sure that we get into it. First and foremost, let's start off with the breaking news. I believe these fires started late Tuesday evening. They are still going on. Let's go ahead and bring in this clip here.
As we come on the air here in the West tonight, we do begin with breaking news at this hour. 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts, hurricane-force winds unleashing fires across Southern California at this hour. These are the images coming in right now. Authorities are calling this a, quote, particularly dangerous situation, a fast-moving wildfire racing through Pacific Palisades. Tens of thousands racing to evacuate homes already lost tonight. The fire breaking out on a hilltop west of Los Angeles, already burning across more than 1,200 acres. Firefighters racing to the scene, some deployed ahead of time. They knew the winds were going to be dangerous. The fire spreading quickly, destroying this truck. So many families racing to get out tonight after James Woods posting this video of flames near his home. Everyone in Pacific Palisades told to leave, many caught in traffic jams, some leaving on foot tonight, grabbing only what they could.
So I do want to say these fires apparently started in Pacific Palisades, but they have since, grown since it started there. Now, Pacific Palisades, from what I understand, is a pretty affluent area. I did see a video that said, apparently, I guess this was a backyard fire that spread. You guys know, with the conditions in California, very dry, doesn't get as much rain as other parts of the country. So it is not difficult for a fire to start to spread in California because of those particular conditions. Let's continue here.
Tonight, the winds are expected to only strengthen overnight. A dangerous night ahead. ABC's chief national correspondent Matt Gutman leading us off. He's on the scene in California tonight.
Tonight, the Palisades fire burning homes and forcing thousands to run for their lives. The fire erupting in the Pacific Palisade foothills west of Los Angeles around 10:30 local time. Fire trucks racing to the scene, aircraft attacking it from above.
We threw everything we had at it really quick. We knew that if we didn't get it in 20 minutes, it would go to hundreds of acres.
But those efforts, no match for those devastating Santa Ana winds.
Just in the past couple of seconds since we've been here, this fire has crested this little hill we're on. The entire basin here is engulfed in flames. You can see it all the way down to the ocean behind me. That's where that light is. You can see that fire right now taking over that pile of leaves and debris, and behind us the bulk of that massive fire now taking over most of this northern part of Pacific Palisades.
Now, one thing that I do want to add, pay attention to the wind speed, because the moment I heard that these winds were 80 miles per hour, I said to myself, those are hurricane winds, right? So I live on the East Coast. We're used to having hurricanes. They're typically around like 80 miles per hour. Sometimes they can get higher than that. So when you have wind that is that high, those Santa Ana winds, when the speed is that high and you have these wildfires, it's really difficult to try to stop these fires from spreading, no matter how much water you dump onto the fire, because the wind is blowing it so quickly. So that's something to keep in mind too. The winds are definitely having an impact with these wildfires here.
Entire population of Pacific Palisades ordered to evacuate, traffic gridlocked for miles. Drivers stuck beside burning hillsides, some setting out on foot, vehicles catching fire. What's going on up there?
Houses on fire up on the corner and all the way down that street.
Megan Garman, her daughter, and their dog evacuating on foot after they abandoned their vehicle.
Well, the smoke just got really bad, so I just started packing up all of our stuff and we got in the car to go. And then all the cars were abandoned, so I had nowhere to go, so I just had to get out of my car and start walking. The smoke is so bad.
Authorities helping the family to safety. Actor
That's something that I do want to talk about as well, is the smoke. See, this is the thing about fires that really, I think, get a lot of people in trouble. It's not necessarily the fact that you may catch on fire and burn. There is that danger. But there's also this idea of the smoke is a big part of the problem. When I saw a lot of these videos with people walking around, some people had on masks, some people did not. My biggest concern is the smoke inhalation, right? So you're breathing in that smoke that can obviously have an impact on your lungs. Even if you live in an area in LA that is not on fire right now, people are telling me that I spoke to, they're saying they can still smell the smoke. So if you have asthma or if you have any type of breathing issues, obviously that's going to have an effect on you.
James Woods posting this video of flames near his home.
We've got a lot of planes going over, dropping water, but
You can see how that wind is casting the embers, sending that fire right into that house just above that stand of trees in there.
Firefighters in an all-out battle to save this shopping center, pulling hoses right through businesses and even using buckets at one point to stop the spread. The fire danger throughout Southern California critical because of a Santa Ana windstorm that could bring gusts of 100 miles an hour to some areas. The National Weather Service going as far as to warn people to stay away from windows.
David, the fire behind me burning so hot you can actually hear it hissing. The entire row of houses here in Pacific Palisades on the street going down in that direction is now on fire. We have not seen a firefighter here. And more bad news for the tens of thousands of residents here in the Pacific Palisades. The winds are forecast to increase tonight and into tomorrow across most of LA County. Millions of people are going to become affected. David.
This is just awful. All right, Matt.
So that was the beginning, I guess, of those fires at that point in time. I do want to show you, there are heat maps that I can bring up as well. AP has been pretty good about this. They are showing where these fires are, different areas. They're showing you here that yellow is evacuation warning and the pink color is the evacuation order. And as you can tell, these are all different areas here, ladies and gentlemen. You can see here, there's some close to Santa Monica. There's Calabasas is affected, Simi Valley. If we go over here, somewhat towards Santa Clarita, San Fernando, Pasadena. Let's see if I can move the map up a little bit here. These heat maps are no joke. I do see West Hollywood. Also, there seems to be fire over in that way. And then another thing happened last night. They mentioned that the Hollywood Hills, there was a fire there as well. Now they're assuming that fire may have been arson. Like seriously, who would do that? Jesus, who would do that? One, and two, who would do that at this time? Like, what are you thinking? But I did tell you again that these fires are unprecedented. Let's go ahead and bring in this clip here from CNN.
Woolsey fire, the fire out in Malibu back in 2018, that was huge. I mean, in terms of fires actually this close to, Los Angeles proper, it's the biggest I have ever seen for absolute certain. And, I live a good, I want to say probably 3 or 4 miles that way in Santa Monica, and the current evacuation zone is a few blocks from my house. If this fire were to get to Santa Monica, this would be one of the most devastating nights we could imagine. Yeah. I can't contemplate that. And so maybe that tells us a little bit about why people didn't evacuate early. I can't contemplate my house going on fire. So, I'm certainly cutting people slack for that. But, when they come back, some people are going to come back to nothing, but at least they'll be alive.
Yeah. I mean, Nick, a lot of people watching are going to be worried about your safety right now. Are you and the team okay? How are you doing?
Yeah, we're fine. I mean, listen, I'm standing on a road, which is a good idea. I'm feeling slightly, the heat from this is a little concerning. I think after I finish speaking to you, we're probably going to get out of here. And because now that it's dark, there are, fire trucks blocking the road. Once I've finished talking to you, I'm definitely going to chill out and move back just a little bit, just to.
He's breathing in the smoke as well.
Keep safe and regroup because, it's a pretty intense environment. And, the thing is, things can move so quickly. That's the problem. We were talking about those embers. An ember can drop, set a spot fire. Things can happen very, very fast in an environment like this. So once I say goodbye, we're going to leave.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good area to be in right now. I mean, again, he is breathing in the smoke there, so keep that in mind as well. And then there was this video of a man it appears that he was trapped in his home with his dog. He did not evacuate, I guess, before the fire started. Maybe he didn't think that it would make its way to his home. But what do you do in a situation like this?
This was going viral to all over the place. Look at this video. So this was a guy who didn't heed the warning, stayed behind.
I've seen
and
this.
Look at what happened here. I mean, to be surrounded by flames in all direction with your dog there. So this is not what you want to have happen. So as
do we have an update of what happened to?
I mean, if he was able to post the video, I hope he ended up being okay. I hope he was able to get out, but I don't have an exact update on what exactly happened.
And this is one of many just heartbreaking visuals that have developed since the Pacific Palisades fire broke out.
Right.
And this is a prime example of why you should leave when they tell you to.
Yeah, it's not a joke. They're not saying it just to say it, and it also it's very selfish, frankly, to stay behind because you're putting potentially firefighters' lives on the line to try to save you.
So one thing I do want to say here about evacuations, some people can't evacuate because they just can't afford to. I know people that have been in that situation, especially with the hurricanes that were in Asheville, where people just didn't have the money to go stay at a hotel or whatever. So that could be a situation for people who are dealing with, financial issues or lower income. But in that particular area there in Pacific Palisades, the people there are pretty affluent. So that gentleman there could have left. We don't know if he's alive or not. I don't know. I don't think anybody's heard anything from that guy. And then there is the insurance issue. And this is the video, I think, that has given a lot of people pause. There's a woman here and she's discussing what happened with her parents. I believe her parents are 90 years old and their fire insurance was canceled. That's right. So a lot of people are taken back by this and they're saying, you got to be kidding me. I didn't even know that insurance companies could do that. Yes, they can. And insurance companies make a lot of money. They have been known to do this before. Listen to what this woman said here. This is the Eaton fire.
I know I'm not supposed to be here, but this is my parents' home.
I know the feeling.
And they just they got canceled from their fire insurance. So they're dealing with this. They're 90 years old. And through the state of California, because of this, they're 90 years old. They've lived in this house for 75 years, and they've had the same insurance. And these insurance people decided to cancel their fire. And we're going through this, and it just happened, and they have no fire insurance. So thank you, California insurance companies, supporting residents who pay taxes and love California. And they wonder why people leave California.
Yeah, this is a good thing. I'm so glad that they got this woman on camera because these insurance companies, at the end of the day, they don't really want to pay. I mean, we've been talking a lot about health insurance since this case with Luigi Mangione, but other insurance companies as well, fire insurance, flood insurance, etc. I had to deal with flood insurance issues during Hurricane Floyd in North Carolina, where there was obviously some issues because there was flooding and a lot of people didn't have flood insurance because at that point in time, that area hadn't had a flood in over 500 years. So there's that. But the fire insurance as well, if this is an area that is prone to getting like some type of wildfires, which Southern California is, these insurance companies at the end of the day don't really want to pay. They know they have to kick out a lot of money for people in that area. So now this family right here in particular, they're going to come back to probably nothing. And they've lost their fire insurance, not to their own choice. Now, they didn't decide to remove it, but the insurance company decided to remove them. Guys, when I tell you the system is fixed, believe me, the system is fixed. These insurance companies, these corporations, Wall Street, they don't really want to take care of the people. They don't really want to pay at the end of the day.
Foremost, you did get your parents out safely.
I live in Sierra Madre. My parents are in Sierra Madre, but...
And now you know that it is under evacuation as well, north of Sierra Madre Boulevard.
Yeah, I snuck here. You know, there's a will, there's a way. Probably shouldn't do it, but you know what? Under the circumstances, send me to jail. That's fine.
It is unbelievable what's happening here to the neighbors. Your parents' house is still standing. You had a hose. You're doing what you can.
I mean, I have a hose. It doesn't compare to these beloved neighbors that I've known. I was born and raised in this house, and I live in Sierra Madre, and I'm now 62 years old. And this is the house I was born and raised in, and I've never moved out of Pasadena, Sierra Madre, Hastings Ranch.
Well, let me tell you, it does help for people who aren't here to know what's happening. So you sharing that story, it does a service. I came up to you without even asking your name.
My name is Lynn Levin Guzman. This is the Levin household. I'm a nurse for over 30 years in emergency room. I deal with fire all the time and firefighters. And this situation here, luckily people got out because those are my patients. The people who are not so fortunate to get out.
And I want to bring up something with the healthcare issue since she is a nurse. I'm thinking about all the people that don't have health insurance or have inadequate health insurance that will have to seek some type of medical attention because of these fires. And it just, all of these things are connected. Disasters, disaster relief, and healthcare, it's all connected. I mean, if you're in that situation where you don't have adequate health insurance or you don't have health insurance, now you're stuck with, I lost my home or my apartment and my belongings. And on top of that, I'm not feeling too well because of all the smoke. So I need to go to the doctor, but then I'm going to get hit with a large bill. It's just, I'm thinking about the businesses that have burned down. Like some people probably have lost their jobs now. Like it's all connected, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm glad they were able to interview that woman, because another woman said here, and I do want to show this as well. She responded to that video. Only Pamela Sway said, I was warning people about how insurance companies were going to cancel people insurance back in 2019 and 2020, and no one believed me, but here it is. So you guys see, it's all one big business. There were evacuation updates, apparently for the 101 freeway all the way to Mulholland Boulevard. Now, I haven't lived in Los Angeles, but I am familiar with Mulholland Boulevard. I know friends that have lived over in that area before. Listen to this. This was yesterday.
To get the word out to all your viewers that we have an immediate evacuation order in place in the Runyon Canyon area. So the east border is the 101 freeway. The north border is Mulholland. The west border is Laurel Canyon. And the south border is Hollywood Boulevard.
Can you say that one more time? I'm so sorry, but one more time. We're slowly writing it down, but yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. And we are working on a map as we speak, and so we'll have that up shortly. So on the right, so the east side is the 101 freeway.
Okay.
To the north is Mulholland.
Okay.
To the west is Laurel Canyon.
All right.
And to the south is Hollywood Boulevard.
Wow, and that is a lot of people in that vicinity. That is incredible.
Iconic parts of the Los Angeles community that are now in danger. So that is the evacuation zone. We're going to start to isolate that. We'll make our own maps as well.
So Hollywood Boulevard. So again, guys, this isn't just out in the boonies somewhere. It has made its way to parts of the city, which is what I think a lot of people were afraid of if these fires could not be contained. There are people that have been out there trying to help. I'm not sure if you're familiar with a movie that I used to watch when I was growing up. It was called Police Academy. But actor Steve Guttenberg, who was one of the actors in the movies Police Academy, he is actually helping move abandoned cars out of the way in order for incoming fire trucks to make their way to battle the Palisade fires. So he was out there trying to help as much as he could. They said here, if you leave your car behind, leave the key in there so a guy like me can move your car so that these fire trucks can get up there. So that's another thing. And there's Steve Guttenberg there. You might remember him now if you see his face. That's another thing that I do want to mention as well. The fire trucks have to get through. They have to be able to get through. And I saw during these evacuations, the video showed that it was gridlock traffic. And that's not uncommon when you live in a city that has a high population. Obviously, that when they call for evacuation, there is going to be some difficulty getting out of the area. And speaking of actors, I thought you'd find this one interesting. James Woods was on CNN because his house burned. James Woods. And some people are calling it karma for James Woods. Listen to this. I'll show you why they're calling it karma in a second.
I'm 77 years old, man. I can't walk up these hills. It's like Mount Everest here. It's like, pretty steep. So, it's just I posted this on X, but Sarah was on with her 8-year-old niece last night. And she came out. I'm sorry. Just, one day you're swimming in the pool and the next day it's all gone. But she came out with her little Yeti piggy bank for us to rebuild our house.
Oh my gosh. James Woods, we all hope that you will be able to rebuild your house, maybe starting with that little Yeti piggy bank. And we're just glad that you're okay and your wife is okay.
I'm sorry,
you have your lives. Yeah, no, I mean, this is real and it's raw.
I thought I
and
would be stronger than this.
You don't need, you are, you know what? Strength is not measured by whether, you hold in crying or not. Strength is what you are doing now and helping your neighbors and shining a light on the great, amazing work of all those firefighters and emergency crews out there. You have so much strength, and we appreciate you coming on to reflect what so many others just like you are experiencing in that raw emotion right now. We wish you the best, you and your wife, as you rebuild your lives. So many people are doing that right now and trying to process what's going on. So, James, and also keep us posted on your 94-year-old neighbor and everything going there. We're going to continue to talk, and we wish you the very best.
He's okay. He's okay.
Yeah.
They found him. He's in the hospital.
He's okay. Yeah.
I just worry. If anybody knows where Robert Trinkteller is, call me. Let me know.
Now, notice that it says up here, Beverly Hills, California. So, of course, James Woods is very wealthy. He's going to be okay. A lot of people that are lower income, though, are not going to be okay. Now, why are some people calling it karma for James Woods? I want to remind you what James Woods said about the Palestinian people. James Wood tweeted, "No ceasefire, no compromise, no forgiveness." Then he said, #kill them all. So this was James Woods calling for the death of all Palestinian people. And now James Woods is on CNN crying because he lost his home. James Woods still has his life. He's a wealthy person. He'll be able to buy another home. But those kids in Gaza have nothing. Nothing. James Woods said to kill them all. Some people are calling it karma. I don't know. But that brings up this question about Karen Bass. So as you know, Karen Bass, who's the mayor of LA, is getting a lot of heat about these fires. Not that the fires are her fault, but because one of the things that Karen Bass did is that she did cut the firefighter budget. Now, from what I understand, she cut the budget and gave more money to the LAPD. Gave more money to the police. So this is another example where these cities, these city leaders are giving more money to police instead of the areas where you need it. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the firefighters in California, something that you also may not be aware of. Now, from what I understand, that still left the firefighters with like 800 million for their budget. But still, you took money from them and you gave it to the police. She was questioned about this, and she didn't really want to say anything. Listen to this.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today?
So they're asking her, do you regret cutting the firefighter budget by millions of dollars?
Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position?
Oh, screw Elon Musk, but whatever. Let's go on.
Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
Yeah, apparently for people who are not aware, Ghana has been granting citizenship for Black Americans. So there have been a number of people that have been visiting Ghana recently to get citizenship. I'm not sure if she was there to get citizenship, but she was there recently. So she wasn't in the country. And there's that. I mean, you can't always plan your vacation around. Like, you probably already had that planned and then the fires happened. She did come back, but I do think it says something about the leadership, and it's not just Karen Bass, it's Governor Gavin Newsom. California has been through it. And I know a number of people that lived in California that moved and left and went to places like Texas or Florida or North Carolina because the cost of living. California has a lot of problems.
Madam Mayor, let me ask you just again, have you anything to say to the citizens today as you return?
No. They're gonna. Ma'am, hold on 1 second.
She's trying to run away. Listen, mayor is not a little job. You know, that is an important position. And I've said before, for these politicians, if you don't want to do the job, then step aside and let someone else handle the job. Like, but you running away from the people, that's a legitimate question. I would put aside the Elon Musk thing. Forget, who cares what this billionaire says? But I will say it's a legitimate question to ask. Do you regret cutting the firefighter budget? I think that's a fair question. And she runs away from that. Oh boy.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
Can you take this down?
David, as you say, she wasn't very keen to answer any of your questions there. And fire chiefs are also admitting that they just don't have enough personnel to take out the fires.
Yeah, they're fighting all sorts of challenges. They're talking about a water shortage. There are reports of fire hydrant failures. They've been unable to use firefighting aircraft for much of the day due to the smoke that is billowing ominously from the hills where the wildfires are raging. And I suppose despite that political storm, this is, of course, at its heart, a human story, because we've now 80,000 people evacuated. Tens of thousands of others are on standby to be evacuated. 2 lives have been lost in the Eaton fire, which is what's causing the consequence behind us. The city's iconic landscape almost shrouded completely by the smoke. And they're really just taking it one step at a time, hoping at some stage the wind's going to change direction or to die down, and that they're going to be able to get this fire under control.
So you can even see behind him, you can see how dark it is, see the smoke behind him. So speaking of the water issue, this is another one that has been raised. Apparently some of the fire trucks were not able to get water out of the fire hydrants. So of course, Rick Caruso, who ran against Karen, took this as his moment to say, oh God, this is terrible. And, this is kind of like his time to say, well, I guess you guys should have chosen me. Like you should have thought better or whatever. I say, Rick Caruso, you're a billionaire. Why don't you use some of your billions to help out this situation? That would be my response to that. But he did bring up the water issue. Listen to this.
But what is most concerning to me is our first responders and our firefighters who are trying to battle this. There's no water in the Palisades. There's no water coming out of the fire hydrants. This is an absolute mismanagement by the city. It's not the firefighters' fault, but it's by the city. And I'm going to be very honest. We've got a mayor that's out of the country, and we've got a city that's burning, and there's no resources to put out fires. So if you look at your pictures, you don't see the firefighters there because there's nothing they can do. And it looks like we're in a third world country here. Mm-hmm. And we've got a lot of tough questions that we need to ask the mayor and the city council and our representatives and the county representatives. Why didn't you work to mitigate this? What was your brush mitigation program?
Now, it's really interesting, too, because I'm hearing people complain that she reduced, or actually, I guess the city council reduced the firefighter budget. And some of the people that are complaining about that are conservative. And I'm like, I thought you don't like big government anyway. See, this is where, here's where the partisan politics comes in. Now, I, as someone on the left, further left than many, I would say, I actually see that as, no, you should not reduce resources from the firefighters, right? So it makes sense when I say something like that, but it's interesting that now some conservatives are complaining about that, but they don't like a lot of money being used for the government to begin with. We'll get into the water situation in just a second, but I want to tell you why there is limitation here with some of the firefighters. People may not be aware of this, who some of those firefighters actually are in California. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? California's inmate firefighter crews are dwindling just as the state starts to burn. Now, this is coming from the LA Times. This was reported July 9th, 2024. That was last year. So how many of you knew this? It says here that, let me come down a little bit. It says here that peppered throughout the state's 35 conservation camps, minimum security facilities, they perform crucial fuel reduction projects year-round and are occasionally placed in the path of advancing flames, sometimes at the cost of their own lives. But prison reform and the pandemic have shrunk the pool of inmates eligible to attend the camps operated by California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, CAL FIRE, or the LA County Fire Department for fair training and assignments. How many of you knew that some of those firefighters were actually prisoners? We just did a story about this before, about free labor. And I told you that California, and some of this happened under Kamala Harris too. Don't forget about that. That California was using prisoners for free labor for firefighters. That's just one of the fields that they were using them in. So when I talk about labor in this country, I always remind you the cheapest labor that we have is the prison labor. Prison labor. The more people, all these things are connected. The more people you lock up, the more people you throw in jail, the more free labor that you have. So because of prison reform, that's part of the reason why they don't have as many firefighters. Now, does that mean they should continue using prisoners for firefighting? No. Pay these people. So I don't think a lot of people may have known that, but now you do. But on that topic here of the water, why is there an issue with the water? Firefighters said we got to the fire hydrants, there was no water. You want to know who owns most of the water in California? A billionaire couple. I have never heard of this before. It is happening in California. Listen to this.
While 40 million Californians suffer through unprecedented drought, one billionaire couple owns a massive share of the state's water system, seized in a series of secretive meetings 2 decades ago. That system was largely paid for by the very taxpayers whose water these billionaires hold hostage. Urban water systems are desperate for water, but in 2023, they'll receive just 5% of what they requested from the state. The Resnicks are the biggest farmers in California. As of 2007, they owned 4 San Francisco's worth of farmland, and nearly half of Americans buy at least one of their products. Their pistachios, their pomegranate juice, their mandarins, their flowers. It's all under one massive umbrella, the Wonderful Company. A privately owned company worth at least $5 billion. The majority owners, the Resnicks, are worth at least $8 billion. How were they able to take over such a large percentage of what should be a shared public resource?
That is a very good question. That is JT Chapman there. I've interviewed him before from Second Thought. He does really great video essays about capitalism. And we need to ask that question. Why is it that one billionaire couple owns most of the water in California? Now, even if you won't call yourself a socialist, I think maybe you will agree with me on this particular matter. Do you think that it is fair that one billionaire couple owns most of the water in California? First of all, water should be free to everybody. Water is a necessity. It's not, I don't think it's a privilege. I think it is a necessity. You need water to live. And somehow, some way, the Resnicks were able to gain control of the majority of the water resources in California. So when the firefighters go to the hydrants and they said there's no water coming out, people need to point their fingers at the Resnicks. Don't get me wrong. Still hold the government officials accountable. You still need to point your fingers at Gavin Newsom. Still need to point your fingers at Karen Bass. Don't get me wrong there. But at the end of the day, as I've always continued to tell you, you have to follow the money. When you follow the money, you will get the answers to a lot of the questions that you have, especially when it comes to the American people and why we are treated the way that we are in this country. So until we are able to tackle the billionaire class, we can continue to call out the politicians, and you should, but we have to be willing to go to the mat with the billionaire class. Those are the people. They are the ones that are causing a lot of the despair in this country. And there should be a law against that. There should be a law against billionaires owning most of the water in a state. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people talk about this, but they're not telling you how you can help those people in California. And shout out here to the People's City Council of Los Angeles. I want to tell you how you can help people there. Mutual Aid LA has put together a Google Sheet to available shelter and animal center information. Remember, some people, when they're evacuating, they're also bringing their pets with them. So Mutual Aid Resources, Palisades, and Eaton Fires know of groups providing aid, shelter, etc. And they said to drop it in the comments. I'm also going to put that link to that Google Sheet in the comment section of this video. I'm going to pin it there as well, so you can see this here. Milan Fire and Windstorm Resources, available resources. And what people have done is on this Google Sheet, they have listed the city, the name of the facility, and the type of aid that they're offering, whether it's animal boarding, shelter, distribution hub. The address is also located here, and you can also see more information about what are the needs and notes, etc. And they are asking if people have animals, because that is also a reality as well. So I'll be sure to drop the link to this Google Sheet. I'll pin it in the comment section of the video for anybody in the area that's looking for some type of help. And I have to say this again, this is exactly why I continue to push, and those of us at Revolutionary Blackout Network continue to talk about mutual aid. It's one of those things that you may not think you need until you're in a situation where you need it. So I continue to advocate for that. We continue to do mutual aid. We organize around that, and we help people within our communities. And I continue to advocate for that. And I continue to ask you guys to do the same. In February, I will start hosting mutual aid workshops to teach you how to do mutual aid where you are. Those of us in RBN, we live in different states and different cities, but we know how to do it. But many of you may not know how to do it. So I will start those workshops to teach you how to do mutual aid in your area so that you can get something going as well. Guys, this is not a game. As you can see, Rick Caruso, with all of his billions, is making his criticisms. But what is he doing with his billions to help the people in Los Angeles? See? So at the end of the day, we're going to need each other. The 99% is going to have to help each other. But I am sincerely taken aback by what is happening in Los Angeles. I will continue to stay, update with the story, and I wish everybody the best. And I hope that you all stay safe. Again, make sure that you check on people if you have friends or family that are in that area. And it's crazy times, man. We just started 2025. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.